Hello friends and welcome back to my channel Micro and Mol Bio with Dr. Sunita Buddalu. In the previous lecture we talked about direct DNA repair where we discussed photoreactivation, DNA repair by ADA protein and DNA repair by ALK-B protein. In today's lecture we will talk about the excision repair pathways and we shall be talking about the excision repair pathways like NER, BER, MMR and SOS. However, in today's lecture, we will talk mainly about nucleotide excision repair and in the coming lectures, we will talk about the other excision repair pathways. The major DNA repair mechanisms take advantage of the facts that DNA is double-stranded and the same information is present in both strands. All excision repair pathways follow a few common steps. The first step is recognition of the damage when the damage is present in just one strand. The second step is removal or excision of the nucleotide along with the damage. The third step is new DNA synthesis using the complementary strand as template, and this is followed by ligation where the nick is sealed. All organisms, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, employ at least 4 excision repair mechanisms. These include nucleotide excision repair mechanism, base excision repair, mismatch repair, and SOS repair pathways. We will be talking about these pathways in the coming lectures. Let us first today talk about nucleotide excision repair. The huge variety of DNA reactive chemicals in our environment combined with the huge variety of alterations that can be produced by radiation and by oxidative and free radical attack on DNA can generate so many types of damage that coping with all types of damage by evolutionary development of damage specific DNA enzymes would be difficult if not possible. Fortunately, a different more flexible damage repair mechanism has evolved in living organisms, which is called the nucleotide excision repair mechanism. This recognizes damaged regions based on their abnormal structure as well as on their abnormal chemistry, then excises and replaces them. NER particularly is responsible for repairing the pyrimidine dimers that are formed in the DNA when it is exposed to UV radiations. In all organisms, NER involves the following few steps. The first is damage recognition. The second is binding of multiprotein complex at the damaged site, followed by double incision of the damaged strand several nucleotides away from the damaged site on both the 5' and 3' sites. This is followed by removal of the damage containing oligonucleotide from between the two nicks, followed by repair synthesis by a DNA polymerase, and at the end there is ligation by DNA ligase. Let us first discuss in detail the NER in prokaryotes. In prokaryotes, nucleotide excision repair typically handles bulky damage that distorts DNA double helix. NER in E. coli begins when damaged DNA is clipped by an endonuclease on either side of the lesion, sites 12 to 13 nucleotide apart. The pathway allows damaged DNA to be removed as part of resulting 12 to 13 base nucleotides. The excision is achieved by action of 3 proteins UvrA, UvrB and UvrC coded by the genes UvrA, UvrB and UvrC respectively. UvrB cannot bind to DNA all by itself. It is helped by UvrA. The first thing that happens in the pathway is that 2 molecules of UvrA combine with 1 molecule of UvrB in an ATP-dependent reaction to form UvrA2B complex. This UvrA2B complex then binds to the DNA. The complex recognizes the damaged DNA by the distortion, but it can also bind to undamaged DNA and then slide to the damaged DNA binding site. The binding of the complex to the damaged DNA unwinds a 5 base pair region around the lesion and kinks the DNA around it by about 130 degrees. UvrB has a hydrophobic core. UvrB uses the energy of ATP to flip the unwound bases to face the core. As a result of this, a tight hydrophobic bond forms between UvrB and DNA. The formation of tight bonds between UvrB and DNA weakens the contacts between UvrA and UvrB. This causes UvrA to dissociate, leaving behind a stable UvrB DNA complex. Another ATP is hydrolyzed at this step. The dissociation of UvrA is essential because it triggers the binding of UvrC to the site. UvrB and UvrC are endonucleases responsible for the excisions. UvrB makes a cut approximately 4 nucleotides 3' to the damaged site. This causes the DNA to straighten up. This conformational change causes UvrC to bring about a 5' incision approximately 7 nucleotides away from the damage. Thus, a 12 to 13 oligonucleotide is excised. The binding of UvrC is weak and it slowly dissociates. The dissociation is hastened by UvrD protein, which actually is a helicase. It binds to the NECs and uses the energy of hydrolysis of ATP to displace UvrC. The dissociation of UvrC leaves the 5' incision free for DNA polymerase 1 to bind. Binding of DNA polymerase 1 displaces UvrB along with the excised oligomer. DNA pol 1 synthesizes the 12 to 13 nucleotide long patch, and finally ligases is recruited to seal the NEC. Let us quickly revise what we have just seen. This is a double-stranded DNA which has been formed a thymine dimer because it was exposed to the UV radiations. Like I told you in the previous slide, UvrA2B complex is formed. It binds to the DNA, scans it, and wherever it comes across a pyrimidine dimer, it stops there. Energy from ATP is used to bend the DNA and change conformation of the UvrB protein, and as a result of the ATP hydrolysis, the UvrA dimer is released. At this point, there is a strong bond formed now between UvrB and the DNA, and the dissociation of UvrA here triggers the binding of UvrC. UvrB brings about a 3' NEC and UvrC brings about a 5' NEC. The binding of UvrC is weak, and as a result of that, it dissociates from the site, and UvrD, which is a helicase, it binds and it causes the oligonucleotide to be released from here. This leads to the formation of a gap here, and at this gap to the 3' OH end will bind the DNA polymerase 1. It will synthesize and fill this gap by reading the complementary nucleotides on the template DNA, on the intact strand, and as a result of that, it will fill this gap. Finally, a DNA ligase is recruited which will seal the NEC, and in this manner, the pyrimidine dimer damage which was formed here has been repaired. In prokaryotes, it has been found that the transcribed DNA is repaired faster. it leads to what is called as transcription-coupled NER. When RNA polymerase comes across a bulky lesion, it stalls. This stalling is a signal for the transcription repair coupling factor to bind to the site. The binding of TRCF results in two events which take place simultaneously. One is dissociation of the complex of RNA polymerase and RNA transcript. The second is simultaneous recruitment of UvrA2B complex to the site. Once the UvrA2B is recruited to the damaged site, the pathway follows as we have discussed in the previous slide. This system ensures that the coding genes are repaired faster on a priority basis. Nucleotide excision repair in eukaryotes shares the same general plan as that of prokaryotes. However, it is more complex and involves more number of proteins as compared to prokaryotes. The proteins which are involved are encoded by genes which are present on an XP gene cluster containing 8 genes: XPA, XPB, XPC, XPD, XPE, XPF, XPG, and XPV. Humans who have impaired XP proteins have a non-functional NER and cannot repair pyrimidine dimers. This leads to xeroderma pigmentosum, that is the skin cancer. NER takes two forms in eukaryotes. It can involve all lesions throughout the genome and hence it is called the global genome NER, or it can be confined to the transcribed strands in genetically active regions of the genome, as we saw also for the prokaryotes, and it is called the transcription-coupled NER. The mechanisms of these two forms of NER share many common aspects, but the method of recognition of the damage obviously is different. So let us first discuss the global genome NER. The first step in human global genome NER is the recognition of the distortion in the double helix which is caused by DNA damage. This is where the first XP protein, that is XPC, gets involved. XPC together with another protein HHR23B recognizes a lesion in the DNA, binds to it and causes melting of a small DNA region around the damage. XPA, which has an affinity for damaged DNA, is also involved in an early stage of damage recognition. XPA binds to many of the other factors involved in NER, so it may verify the presence of a DNA lesion in DNA that is already denatured and helps to recruit the other NER factors. Two of the other XP genes, XPB and XPD, code for two subunits of the general transcription factor TF2H, implicating this general transcription factor's importance in NER. These two polypeptides have the DNA helicase activity. So, TF2H is responsible in enlarging the region of melted DNA around the damage. The fact that TF2H interacts with a number of other NER factors suggests that it serves as an organizer of the NER complex. The melting of DNA by TF2H attracts nucleases that nick one strand on either side of the damage, excising a 24 to 32 nucleotide oligonucleotide sequence that contains the damage. Two exonucleases make the cuts on either side of the damaged DNA. One is the XPG product, which cuts on the 3' side of the damage. The other is a complex composed of a protein called ERCC1 plus XPF product, which cuts on the 5' side. These nucleases are ideally suited for their task. They specifically cut DNA at the junction between double-stranded DNA and single-stranded DNA created by the TF2H around the damage. Another protein known as RPA helps position the two exonucleases for proper cleavage. RPA is a single-strand binding protein that binds preferentially to the undamaged strand across the lesion, the side of RPA facing toward the 3' end of this DNA strand binds the ERCC1 XPF complex and the other side of RPA binds XPG. This automatically puts the two exonucleases on correct sides of the lesion. Once the defective DNA is removed, DNA polymerase epsilon or delta fills in the gap and DNA ligase seals the remaining nick. The role of XPE is not very clear yet. We have already talked about transcription-coupled NER in prokaryotes. Let us now see this mechanism in eukaryotes. Transcription-coupled NER uses all of the same factors as does global genome NER except for XPC because XPC appears to be responsible for initial damage recognition and limited DNA melting in global genome NER. This role in transcription-coupled NER is played by RNA polymerase. When RNA polymerase encounters a distortion of the double helix caused by DNA damage, it stalls. This places the bubble of the melted DNA which is created by the polymerase at the site of the lesion. At that point, CSB protein binds to DNA. This leads to the recruitment of other factors. RNA polymerase along with the transcript is removed. From that point on, these factors would behave much as they do in global genome NER, enlarging the melted region, clipping the DNA in two places and removing the piece of oligonucleotide DNA containing the lesion. RNA polymerase plays the role of damage detector. It is constantly scanning the genome as it transcribes and lesions block its passage, demanding attention. Lesions in parts of the DNA that are not transcribed would not be detected this way, but they can wait longer to be repaired because they are not blocking gene expression. Thus, the fact that non-coding lesions such as pyrimidine dimers and 3-methyladenine block transcription as well as DNA replication is useful to the cell in that these lesions stall the transcribing polymerase which recruits the repair machinery and the lesion is repaired on a priority basis. With this, we come to an end of this lecture. In today's lecture, we have discussed the first excision repair pathway, that is nucleotide excision repair, where we have seen this repair pathway both in prokaryotes as well as in eukaryotes. In the coming lectures, we will talk about the other excision repair pathways. So stay tuned to this channel, like, subscribe and share. Thank you.